3, and... A little Hawaiian to start.
So do you want to switch ukes back now? Or?
Sure. That's great. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Huh, this one feels higher.
So we just switched ukes back because Peter played that one in C. So I guess you guys are tuned up a step now.
Yeah. Yeah. And Andrew, I have to say this. One of the things Paul pointed out to you is since we've been playing these instruments, it's not true that well, first of all, let's go back. In our Canadian schools, we actually teach in detuning. And there are reasons for that. And if you and your audience are curious, we can talk about that. But the fact is your instruments, and this is a real compliment to you, they play beautifully in C tuning, but they sound even better in D tuning.
Oh, I don't know about that. I like them in C. Come on. Better.
You're biased. You're from Hawaii.
Yeah.
The truth is, it's not necessarily so that every Hawaiian or every ukulele that we've played has been able to be tunable up. And because we teach the kids in D, I mean, both Paul and I play in C tuning. When I work with adults, most of my work is in C tuning. But when I work with the kids back home, I'm doing D tuning. And not every instrument is conducive to that change. So
You think so, Paul?
I would agree. Yeah. No, it's...
What happens?
Do you know what?
Just the box doesn't resonate as well with that key?
Possibly. Maybe it's the native tongue of the ukulele to be in that sense of C6. I'm not sure, but it's just the space to which the resonance of your instruments have, and I think the ability for them to to bring out true, even with string change, because yes, they make different calibrations and tensions. I don't know. It just seems like it can adapt so fluently. So, yeah.
I mean, in fairness, it could be woods as well. I tend to use the instruments that I play tend to have a brighter wood, whether it's myrtle or Toreffied spruce or cedar or maple, or mango, which I love a mango instrument. I think it really plays beautifully.
So with that one, you just took the native stock set and tuned it up a step.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would normally do, or do you normally find you got to go a little bit lighter tension on the string set? What do you guys think?
Well, I know for me, we had a conversation with he was an engineer previously, and then he got into the whole ukulele world and started doing things with strings. And Gord was his name, and he was just it was a conversation around tensions, and then finding the right calibration behind. You're going up a tone, so you have to allocate for that differential. And, with a little bit of, I'm not an acoustics major or physics major, but it seemed to show that as you got firmer to the higher of the string, so the fourth string, that's where certain things of resonance and such could be. And yes, the closest to your nose, the A and the 1, that would be something that might be a little looser. But yeah, it's you have to find the right type of string. I know you can't just throw a set of guitars or C6 and tune it up, because it'll just ruin the...
Yeah, and I will say, one of the things that I found I had to do just about right away, I would try the set that was on the instrument, and I would try tuning it up and realized how much tighter the string was. And you know how you sort of get to... I don't know if anybody else out there feels that you're tuning and you're going, I think I'm going to snap a string.
Yeah.
Right? And I would start feeling, I think I'm going to snap this string. So part of the exercise is finding string thicknesses that works where they don't feel too tight to your finger, to your touch. And so, you play with thicknesses, but that's a different, in my case, that's different than just the tone quality that comes from the blending of the string to the woods and getting that resonance, that sound, that tone quality that is pretty to listen to, but also has punch to it. So for what it's worth, it's a compliment to the instruments that you build that they are easily, in my experience, limited experience as it is, easily conducive to either tunings. And in the world of ukulele, there are all kinds of tunings. Like we're now finding players that will experiment with the different combinations of strings. Almost, I've seen slack key ukulele. So you start to think around, okay, if you change the tuning on an instrument, what does it do to the tone quality? And is the player going to be happy enough with that, or do they know what to listen for as they change tunings on an instrument?
Yeah, I consulted with, when we knew we were going to set this one up for you in the A tuning, or D tuning.
Yeah,
rather.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just
the
Canadian
first string.
Yeah, right.
There's a Canadian joke there, eh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was asking him about it. So we went a little bit lighter,
yeah.
Just knowing that it was going to have that extra tension. So for people at home, there is inherently going to be more tension as you tune up a step. If your instrument was built really solid, it can handle, that's not going to be a problem. Some instruments are built a little bit more like on the edge to where, over time that extra step will cause some problems. This is one of the other reasons why we normally record at night. So what you hear now is a toilet that was flushed downstairs. Yeah. That's our high-tech studio here.
Yeah, it's a crappy situation for recording, isn't it? Yeah. You knew that was coming, didn't you? You knew that was coming.
Oh, you can't help yourself.
No. There's a song there, yeah. But, maybe that lends a little bit to a discussion around the tuning and why in Canada there is detuning. First of all, I think originally it was because in England, where the founder of the program that we use in Canada is a gentleman named J. Chalmers Doan. His residence is in Nova Scotia. He learned from his mother. His mother brought the ukulele over from Great Britain. And in Britain, it is not unusual for A, D, F sharp, B to be the tuning. And I think it goes back to the old banjo ukes. So the notion that this is, the Canadian kids do it. Well, actually, the history is not the Canadian kids. The history is tuning that was in Great Britain I'm going to say in the 40s, 30s, and 40s. Okay, so as he developed this program around the D tuning, the other thing that we did find was that the keys in which you would play easily, the key of D versus the key of C, the key of G versus the key of F, the key of B or the key of A can all be used because the first position chording is not that complex for children to manipulate. What's important is the singing voice to go with the playing. And you do not want to have children singing in a low register. That's just not healthy for their voices. Any teacher who knows anything about choral direction or choral singing knows that you have to target the upper range. The head voice range needs to be developed for children. Their middle range needs to be developed, and if you have them singing down low, it's not good for their vocal instrument. So it stayed as detuning as the program made its way across Canada. The program that we've taught for 45, going on to year 45, is in detuning. The other advantage, and this is kind of interesting because, excuse me, we don't teach tab, we teach notation reading. And where C would be an easy key, no sharps, no flats, well, on a piano that matters. On an ukulele it doesn't. So they're learning the scale of D right from the get-go. 2 sharps is not a big deal. They don't consider that concerning. Key of G, 1 sharp. It's not a concern. They can play it. They don't worry about accidentals in the key. So then when you get something in the key of C that's played in the key of C, it's played without sort of the thought, oh, this will be easier now. It's as easy as playing in the key of D. It's just different notes. So one of the neat things is you can play with other instruments. If you were going to play with a guitar, if you were going to play with a piano player, if you were going to play with a recorder, you could do it easily in any key relative to the voice, in any key that you needed to, and not worry about it being too low, because you can select the key you want and not worry about it being too difficult to finger, too difficult to strum, to chord.
You find that still to be true, Paul?
Do you know what? As I went into university, initially that was 100% where I was leaning towards. I'm a violinist, concert violinist by trade since 6. My parents got me enrolled into learning violin, and as an E instrument, playing more open, open tunings even with on a violin, amongst its being fifths, it's like, oh, that's easier in terms of the violin's resonance. Again, it's all about making the instrument sound good. You look at the greats of ukulele that play in the more open tunings so that you can let those strings resonate, ring, and that's where you have like that drone going through. It just sounds beautiful. When you go into D6, it does open up some collaboration with other instruments, whether it's a guitar or bass, like my dad was saying, pattern. It's just pattern. It doesn't matter. Versus a keyed instrument where you can have some complications with black and white keys and maybe this or that. But even for the proficient enough pianist, it's pattern. If you're going to collaborate with, this is where it gets interesting with the band, because I started teaching concert band and dealing with woodwind brass. They love the concert key of B flat. So if you think in the ukulele world, okay, well, C tuning does lend to easier chords, formations to collaborate with, like a woodwind or a brass instrument and orchestration. So you could, in some of the recordings we've done, we've thrown in some brass, and I've come to realize, oh my goodness, yeah, playing in the R key of D, going into the realm of going into brass and woodwinds, it does make it a little more interesting, because those instruments obviously don't thrive as much in certain keys. But again, proficiency comes down to it. Any pro would say, doesn't matter, throw it in front of me, I can do it. But for your beginners, enthusiasts, people who are just passionate about making music, those open keys matter. And if you're jamming with a group of people, depending on those instrumentations, that's where, it's good to have an understanding enough of your instrument in those open keys, like my dad said, whether it's D, G, and going into C, or if it's going from C, F to B flat. Who are the people you're making music with the most, and where do you find the most joy?
I've heard people say, like collaborating in more Americana type settings, the D tuning is easier
Yes.
to jump in with.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Fiddles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where, as a violinist, that's where, for fun, my dad would always give us like accordion books, because that was his major instrument as a young person, and he's very proficient in being able to perform that instrument. And lots of his music being scored on treble and bass clef, he would give it to us and orchestrate it. And as an ensemble member, again, it was orchestrated in keys that were more, Americanized or through classical genre. You had to know how to play in a whole wide range of keys, whether it was Rhapsody in Blue, which they did the year after I left, Flight of the Bumblebee, Rimsky-Korsakov, or going to, saber dance to Turkish Rondo and doing Mozart. Like, you have to have ability to make your way around the instrument, and D6 does lend a little bit, especially if you're going to do more classical, like Paganini's 24th Caprice I learned on the ukulele. And like, I couldn't do all of it because we don't have a low G. But if I did it in C6, I wouldn't be able to play all the high parts.
Right.
So knowing that in mind, that you're exactly right. It is for Americana or classical. You can open up more.
You'll hear a lot of canon in C with
over
and
here.
Ironic, right? Because it's canon. Yeah.
Right. Corey recorded that one time, but he tuned up a step to do it proper
in D.
Yeah.
Which is what we would do. And so, again, all the skills that we would want to teach are based on musicality, on music literacy. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're tuned in C or tuned in D. And I want to make that really clear. It doesn't matter. If I'm working with kids, I like the idea that it's giving them the opportunity to demystify an accidental. I like the idea that it's giving them an understanding of the fretboard as working as a chromatic instrument.
What do you mean by demystify an accidental?
Well, I think, again, I grew up as an accordion player, so it's a keyboard. If I played in the key of C, I knew right away it was all white notes. Well, all white keys. I've come to see and learn that I think a healthy number of adults, a good number of adults, appreciate the key of C because it has no accidentals. Well, the minute I add in on a piano keyboard an F sharp, a C sharp, a G sharp, there is almost, for kids, it's on a piano keyboard, it's harder. Well, it's not on an ukulele. It's not more difficult. It's still the same pattern, it's just in a different location. And because it's a chromatic instrument, it allows us to demystify, i.e. it's mystifying. It's mysterious that I have to play this black note. How do I get to it? Because you'll notice on scales that involve the black keys, sometimes your fingering has to change. Well, on an ukulele, on a guitar, a fretted instrument, your fingering doesn't change. It's the same pattern. So it gives us that ability, and so that a young person who goes then and reads a score on another instrument is no longer concerned. They just need to find the location of that note on their instrument. Is that kind of making sense?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So even the in elementary school, students will learn to play the recorder. Well, it's a C-tuned instrument, right? You can play a B flat and an F sharp on a recorder on a little flutophone, but here in a D-tuned instrument, it's just part of what you would do, whether you're playing key of C scale, or key of D, D scale. Same shape, same fingering. So therefore, whether I transfer over to a C-tuned ukulele or a D-tuned ukulele, nothing's changing other than the name of the note. My muscle memory still works to my advantage. Now, I have to wrap my ear around the tonality, because in my case, it's my biggest issue, going from a C-tuned to a D-tuned instrument. When I do this on a C-tuned instrument, at first, if I've been playing D-tuning, I hear a G, and I go, that doesn't sound like a G anymore. It's because it's not. It's an F. So switching back and forth requires your paradigm, your ear hearing differently. The paradigm for the ear has to switch to the tonality. So you almost have to play for a little bit. Just say C, F, G7. Got it. And when I go to D tuning, D, G, A7, D, etc.
Right. I think for a lot of people, James Hill was the first time they were really introduced to the sound of detuning. I don't know. Does he still?
Yes.
Yeah.
When James performs, he and I have had this conversation. When he performs as a soloist, he's playing in detuning. And I said to him always, he said, yeah. Now, if you listen to, for example, if you listen to the Langley Ukulele Ensemble's recordings or listen to them play live, there's a brightness to it. Everybody thinks, well, not everybody. Lots of people think, oh, it must be because they're kids. It's not. It's because it's tuned up, right?
Right.
One tone. So the keys they're playing in tend to be brighter. And the instrument, again, back to what I said earlier, if it's tuned to a wood that complements the tuning, it's actually a musical, it's a magical musical sound.
Yeah.
Byron Yasui, the two are interchangeable for me. Byron Yasui heard the group play last night, and again, his comment is, oh man, the tone is so beautiful. Yeah, it is. It's a combination of that higher tuning and obviously the fact that they're using a flat pick for that tremolo effect, which I know he really enjoys.
Yeah, if you listen to like James's like clawhammer type sound, like that sound doesn't get that sound a step lower, you know?
No.
Yep.
I mean, it does, but it kind of loses that pop, you know?
Yeah. And that's the word. It's the pop. And for whatever reason, the world is not going to change to D-tuning, D6 tuning, but for whatever reason...
Thank God.
I knew you'd be appreciative of that. For whatever reason, the strings pop that much more in D. Obviously, it's tuned up a pitch, but I think it's more than that. I think there's something as to the way it resonates, that tuning resonates with certain woods.
So we're here with Peter and Paul Luongo, and they have quite a legacy of perpetuating the ukulele in Canada. Peter, talk about that and how you got, how you fell in love with the ukulele and taught thousands of kids along the way.
Well, I took the course at the university that I attended that presented the program that we then used in schools. And
How did that even...
Well, Chalmers Doan's good friend was a fellow named Dr. Cam Trousdale, who played with the Opera Symphony in Vancouver as a violinist, came to just absolutely fall in love with the pedagogical approach that includes the ukulele. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And he then said, I teach at the university. I'm going to implement that as part of my my course offerings. So classroom instruction, classroom music instruction, you come through his class, you're going to be playing the ukulele. And he's going to, in fact, be teaching you in the system that Chalmers had set up. I took that course. And at first, Dr. Trousdale had said, look, I'd like you to go and study with Chalmers Doan in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I wasn't going to do that. I'm a West Coast boy, and I wasn't moving to the East Coast. So he said, well, the next best thing is, would you consider taking a career in the Langley School District, which is about 25 miles out of Vancouver? I said, yeah, sure. So they hired me, and I went into my first classroom, brought the ukulele, had every student bought their own ukulele. And in those days, in the Langley School District, we had 2,000 students playing the ukulele twice a week as their music program all year long. Think about that.
Wow. What, 2,000?
2,000 kids.
A lot.
That's like 30 schools.
Okay.
Okay? And we didn't teach it to every kid. We taught it to grades 4 and 5, 9 and 10-year-olds.
And you ran this program?
Only in my school. I'm a brand new teacher. The principal that hired me said, I'd like you to run this program in your school, in our school. It became my school. I said, all right. So I taught the grade 4s and 5s, and the kids fell in love with it. And man, they just ate it up. And I started putting some arrangements together for them. They started playing. The parents loved it. The kids loved it. We were making music. And so the district personnel approached me and said, you've got kids playing, and there's some kids playing after school. You seem to be fairly proficient with this. Would you take some kids after school? So we started what we called an honor program for ukulele. So out of all these 2,000 kids, we would audition the best kids, and they would come into our ensemble. So we had enough kids that were interested that we ran 2 or 3 ensembles. And the best of those kids would get into the top group. I inherited that top group after my second year of teaching. And my challenge for the kids was, okay, you're learning to play. I'm going to teach you. If you do the job the way I think you can, in 5 years, I'm going to take you to Waikiki. You're going to perform in Hawaii, the home of the ukulele. And 4 years later, we took our first trip in 1985. We took our first trip to Hawaii. We played in schools and at tourist attractions, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I got into it through university. I got into it through the job that I took. I stuck with it because of the success that I saw kids having learning. They stuck with it because of the success they were having and the fun they were having. And ultimately, it didn't hurt that you were taking a group of kids to Hawaii.
Why is the ukulele such a choice instrument for that?
Great question. So we use the instrument literally so that what happens is that the students gain literacy. A good chunk of it starts with the scale. Okay? They'll start with a pentatonic. They'll note read. They'll play by ear. They echo it back. They'll learn to strum chords, and they learn very quickly that the chord is made up of 3 pitches, one with 2 names and a major chord in a minor chord. They'll learn that in a dominant 7 chord, there are 4 pitches, 4 separate names, and we have them understand that. We don't teach it by rote. They're not being told to put their finger there and then put your finger here. They're being given a score that says play D to E to A to F sharp to E to D. And they play it. They read it. They can read rhythm. They can read the melody pitches. We teach them to play in various keys. We add harmony. We add melody. And when you add melody and harmony, and you start to learn that along the B string is the melody pitch. And if you form your chords in the right place, you can play melody and harmony together. Well, now what have you done? And remember, you're doing all this the whole time you're still developing the choral singing with the chords, and in fact, learning to sing harmony based on where the chord note is. So as I change my chord, whatever's on the B string is what I sing. That's a harmony. If I add the F sharp string, now I've got 2-part harmony in the melody. I've got 3 parts. So within minutes, you've got kids singing in 3-part harmony if they can hear the note within the chord, which is part of their ear training. You hear all that stuff that I've just talked about?
Yeah.
That's taught in every lesson, snippets in every lesson, twice a week. You don't think you're going to have kids that can play by ear? You don't think you're going to have kids that can read notation? You don't think you're going to have kids that can sing and pick out and sing in harmony? And that can understand the theory around the way the instrument works and be able to combine melody and harmony together so that they're playing what amounts to a solo. And now the kids are having success doing it because a hallmark of what we now do in Langley is insist that part of what you do is you perform. So these kids that are coming to Hawaii, how many times did your kids perform this year, Paul?
It was at least 50, 55 times before Hawaii.
That's gigs?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And
so
that doesn't include like
that's
weekly
gigs with your...
Yeah, sometimes multiple, and they'll land, some bigger community performances and collaborations would be, whether it's going through our local news media and then going from there to
You guys make money?
That's how we make majority of our earnings are through our performances.
So about 30 years ago, we made a conscious decision that we're not selling chocolates. We're not going to stand outside the liquor store and offer people raffle tickets. We're going to make the money that's used to travel by performing.
Cool.
And when you get good enough, and by the way, no individual student profits. No, we don't take a cut of it as directors. Mm-hmm. The money the kids earn is their money in an account that then goes directly to offset their travel costs.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is often, those performances they do accumulate in time, but a nice chunk of them too are in opportunities where the kids can give back. It's almost an act of service, almost like as if we're trying to instill not just the what it looks like to entertain and perform and engage them in that regard, but a sense of giving back. I know our motto is enriching lives through music, through the association, and that enrichment doesn't just go with the glamour of the audiences that are most engaged with you. It sometimes might require, or it might bring out some of the best, I'd say, attributes in the kids when they're performing at residences for seniors, where sometimes we'll be in long care seniors residences where there's seniors in there that aren't all with it anymore, whether it's through dementia, Alzheimer's, you name it. It's sad, and those often they get forgotten. And for the kids to go there, I know the staff there, the nurses, they appreciate it. It brings their days up to being more joyous. And obviously the residents, we know for a fact music can bring back some, whether it's language or memories. I've seen some things that, again, further solidify my beliefs in the power of music. And then when you put kids at the front of it, it just,
for them to see the youth up there making music.
It just, they're beside themselves in terms of, there's hope that you can see it in their eyes. And that these are people that have lived a lifetime and seen, in many cases, they've seen wars. They've lived through, as we were kind of discussing in the car, they've lived through some very traumatic or challenging times. But then they see and hear these kids, and then the kids go interact with them, whether it's the shaking of a hand or just simply making eye contact because there is no verbal, and just a nod, a smile. It's weekly. They'll be touching lives in ways that, again, music is a gift. And this ukulele,
it's the emotion of the music. It's the promise of the future. Seeing children that are kind and there to share and respectful of elderly people.
And I think the other thing my dad often would say, and I've continued to share it because I firmly believe in it, is this instrument, to which you make beautiful ones.
Thank you.
It's an instrument, and I know the novelty of times past are what some people will see an ukulele as, especially the demographic that we'll play for sometimes at home. The 50s, 60s genre of music they'll certainly relate with, but the moment they hear a song that they wouldn't anticipate voice and ukulele to play, there's like this light bulb of aha and whoa, did they just do that? And on a ukulele, Johnny Be Good, Bohemian Rhapsody, did you just do Stairway to Heaven? Like, these people start to have a different outlook and perception of what this instrument is, which is an instrument, very capable instrument that should be taken seriously. And that's where young people, in the parallel my dad would make, is you first looked and heard it was an ukulele group and probably rolled your eyes, and your friend brought you here because they told you how amazing it was going to be, and you didn't believe them, and then after the show you're wanting to learn everything about it. And these young people just changed the perception as to what in society we should also be giving them a little bit more benefit of the doubt. Which is they when challenged, engaged, motivated, and given opportunity, a platform. It might be sports for some, it might be music, ukulele, whatever it might be. It's channeling that energy in a way that says you can do this, and you can also use that as a gift. You can use that in a way of giving back. Use that in a positive light. And that's the beauty of this instrument mixed in with the music, marriage, is that these young people are changing perceptions of not just youth, but the instrument, and then they're giving that message of hope that our future is in good hands, which, again, my dad would always make that parallel. And
there's an adage in sales that says you under promise and over deliver. Well, the ukulele is famous for that in the hands of the right players, right? You look at it and you go, oh, what are you going to do with that thing? And then all of a sudden you hear what can come out of this little instrument. Under promise, over deliver. And youth are in that same position where they're often thought of as not being able, if you hear what Langley ukulele kids can do, it blows your mind.
Yeah, I was listening to your group, Paul, yesterday as you guys were practicing before you went up, and I'm just like, dang, like tight, really good, beautiful singing. Simon was on the bass, that was popping out. I was like, this sounds amazing,
And the instrumental riffs that they're doing, because the ukulele is accompanying the entire piece. Byron Yasui made the analogy. He said, the ukulele becomes the orchestra that backs up the vocals. That's right. So all those riffs you're hearing those kids ripping from famous rock and roll tunes, in the case of yesterday's performance, they're nailing them. It's not like, well, we're sort of in the neighborhood or we're faking our way through half of it. They're nailing those riffs as a group and adding 4 or 5-part harmony.
But the thing with ukulele is you can jump from melody to harmony.
Yep.
Whereas like your typical student band full of horns doesn't have that capability.
Nope.
And you can't take your tuba home and practice harmonies on it.
Nope. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can go back to something Paul was talking about, we now have 4, next year it'll be 5 ensembles that play in Langley. We don't have thousands of kids playing anymore. Cuts to schools, cuts to music programs, believe it or not.
So we guys too, huh?
Yeah.
And qualification too. That's the challenge too. We need more educators out there.
So we have our program now running after school. And it doesn't matter whether it's the top group that Paul directs or the littlest kids. We try to ensure that they're performing, that what they learn is showcased. And I use this analogy all the time. If your child played basketball and all they ever did was go up into the gym and practice dribbling and doing layups, but never played in a game, for how long would they play? There'd come a point when they say, you know what, I've dribbled as much as I'm going to dribble, and I can only do so many layups and so many shots. I need to play. I need to do this in the context of a game. Well, music making, ukulele playing is the same thing. I can practice. My teacher told me to go home and practice. I can do it, but for what purpose? And so we, in our program, envision that purpose being to perform.
Yeah.
To share. And so all the groups, that's a mandate that we make. They play, they perform, and it's an expectation that you do that. Why? Because you're part of a team. You're part of a group. There's also a synergy to learning that we make as a hallmark of the way that we teach. So we don't want, one student to be able to do it. We want all the students to be able to do it. Now we know there are various levels of ability, and we also know that there are many types of learners, different types of learners. So we try to appeal to all those learning styles, and we try to encompass synergy in the teaching. So, did you see how Andrew did that? What did you notice about the way he played that? Oh, he did this, and this. Good. Is that the right way to do it? Yeah. Okay, you do it. Paul, you play it. Good. How did that sound? Well, Paul didn't do quite as much as what Andrew did. So we want Paul to fix these components or these elements of his playing. Paul, try it again with that feedback. And it's the kids giving the feedback. And pretty soon they start to realize, you know what? I don't have to do it in a public forum, although it's safe to do it there. I can privately go over, Andrew, how did you do that? Show me how you did that. Well, now look at all the elements that you've got in the way that you've presented your learning. You're asking them to be self-evaluative. There's a life skill. You're asking them to work with others, to give feedback that leads to improvement. There's another life skill. You're teaching how to receive feedback, not as criticism, but as support to help you be better. There's another life skill. You're doing that in the context of sharing, and you're doing that in a safe environment where you can seek the support and help of others. It's when it's done that way, you can't help but to see great results. They may not sound like the Langley Ukulele Ensemble, but they're going to be a whole lot better for that.
Yes, similar. Well, it's like being part of a team.
Yeah.
Being a team player. And you guys probably have to, or have encountered students that are very nervous before they get up and play in front of students, right? Or no, not as much.
Yeah, do you know what? Sometimes I know it was mentioned just the other night. It's funny you asked this. Is that there's the element of playing in front of people their own age. That is like not intimidating, but it gives a different sense of nervousness. And then you get the regular audience members to which they will perform for, and you'll notice the spike in terms of things you can't take for granted. And that's another thing. Again, whether it's a life skill or reality skill, is not only always will you go into something anticipating it's going to be exactly as you want it to be. And if we're looking at a performance, you control what it is you can control. And when these kids are learning that whatever role it is they're serving, and whatever capacity, when they show up, best they be ready. And in that process of being ready, they take it, as my dad just alluded to beautifully, all the different things of life skills as an opportunity to grow. Whether it's a fail forward moment to then learn from it so that you're better for it. The kids will play in front of their own age, and I can say for sure sometimes the audience etiquette isn't entirely there for the younger ages, but almost all school shows that my groups have ever done, the kids are engaged and they sit there for 45 minutes to an hour, and there's not an issue. And then we're talking about 350 kids in a school gymnasium with their teachers surrounded around, but rarely having to go deal with a student because there's engagement. And that's powerful, right? So
there's something to be said for being in a group that supports you to alleviating some of that stage fright. Remember, you're not there by yourself. You're there with a group that you've learned that it's a safe group, that the group may help evaluate you, but they aren't going to judge you. There's a difference. But I do think that
it's a good stepping stone towards being, solo or in a smaller group, right? Being in a larger group.
Absolutely.
Safety in numbers.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna ask Paul to play something in a second, and I'm gonna do this very intentionally. So I talked to you about the idea that our program teaches scales, it teaches chords, it teaches the understanding of theory, it develops the ear and notation reading. But something really important also happens in our program, and that is that we challenge students and we set an environment that challenges them. So they're here in Hawaii. This morning, Brian Tolentino and Hale Seabury came out and talked to the kids. And Brian showed them some of the ways that he chords. And I said to the students while he was doing it, I said, some of you are ready to hear what Brian is presenting. Some of you aren't. Those of you that are ready, take it, run with this. Those of you that aren't, don't worry about it. Watch those others and learn from them. That's synergy. So one of the neat things, people say, oh, James Hill was in your group. Yeah. Oh, he's an amazing player. And I stop him and I say, let's be really clear. He's an amazing player, and it's not because of me. It's because of him. Right?
I mean, the program, he started with it, right?
He did. And he got a base of information on how to take, and here's the critical piece, on how to think and how to evaluate, problem solve around this instrument. I'll take credit, some credit for that. I'm not the only one. There are other teachers in our lives. So I'm going to ask Paul to play. Get ready. You're going to do any song you want to do, right? It's you.
Okay.
He's going to play that song, and it's not because I taught it to him or I showed him how to do this. It's because he took the concepts that were presented for group instruction, and then he took it as a soloist. So back to your point, he then had the confidence to say, I can play this thing on my own. Not every kid will get there, but every kid can aspire to get there based on the idea that their classmate, their fellow group member can do it. Paul.
Sweet. That's one of the coolest Fly Me to the Moons I've ever heard. That was amazing.
Thanks.
Part of it is just that chime of the detuning too.
See, he's hooked now.
I don't want to like it. Yeah,
we pulled him in, Paul. No, you know, I mean, again, this is so cool for me because my thing is teaching. I said to Brian actually today, I study teaching. It's what I do. I analyze what works and what doesn't work based on psychology, based on theory, based on the science of teaching, and then I try to hone it into an art form. Like teaching is an art. The way that you approach students, the way that you work with students is part of the art. There's a right way to mix the lesson's content. There's a right way to ask a question. There's a right way to engage a learner. But getting them to listen, motivating them to want to do it, man, that's an art form.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that too. I mean, the thing is, like, Peter, you have this energy that's like infectious, and it's not a normal everyday, like most people don't have that, you know, but I'm sure you've been able to locate those fellow students along the way that had that spark, and then spawn them into teachers as well to try to get this going with the other students. Yeah. But it definitely is an art, that's for sure, in all of those aspects.
Yeah. So Paul's kids, his students, are the ones that I'm now taking and training to teach the younger kids. So last year, 10 of his students were involved in a teacher training program with me, where I put them in front of 40 kids. And I said, okay, I'm not going to send you in there blind or ill-equipped. We're going to talk about what works. Watch my teaching. Tell me what you noticed. Okay, your turn. Take 10 minutes. You do this skill. You present it. Show me that you understand, yes, the science of teaching, the progression, the question seeking, the questioning techniques, but that you also understand the significance of how to motivate them. And you know where it starts, Andrew? It's interesting. The students very quickly learn when they're standing in front of other kids. If you don't know how to play, or if you're not confident where your playing can happen automatically, you're toast. Because you don't have time to think about your chord. You don't have time to think about where do I go next. You have to know it, because if you don't know it, all of a sudden these kids have time to misbehave. So keeping them engaged means you need to know where you're going and how you're going to get there. And you're exactly right. Paul was one of those students that I trained to teach. James Hill was involved in teaching when he was in Langley. His sister, who's also a terrific musician, also was in that program. Paul's sister was in that program. Paul's brother was in that program. We also have now Simon, who's, you know, one of your future podcasts is going to feature him. He's involved in that program. So he's learning leadership through his platform of music and through the tool that is the ukulele. And Paul's sister is a very successful businesswoman, and she to this day will say one of the greatest schools of learning that I ever had was the Langley Ukulele program. It prepared me to go in and be able to address a group and work with a group. She would have been an excellent educator. She chose to go into business, and she's been very successful at it because the same attributes apply.
Yeah, those life skills follow in business and all of that for sure. Yeah, you know, Paul, it makes me kind of think about my me and my brother, and you know, we worked for my dad through our younger years, and we always kind of like, we're like, you know, you don't want to do what your dad does necessarily, you know, like you kind of want to go your own path. But then for us, it was like, yeah, but this is really cool. And it's like a great way to like make a living, you know? So it's like, in the end, even though we both kind of like experimented with different things, we ended up, you know, back in this industry. But I don't know like what your path was towards becoming a teacher.
Yeah, no, my dad alluded to it already. My first opportunity of teaching came at 16, and thanks to a partnership and a small world moment that my dad had with a seniors community center in New Westminster in British Columbia. And nonetheless, every Saturday morning, I had the opportunity to go. He would start it on off, and he would model it. We had obviously some curriculum based off of some of Chalmers Doan's method books, and who was the other gentleman?
Marvin Shields.
Marvin Shields. So we had resources, albeit they were, yes, in D6, and that was a bit of a platform from our teachings of our early years, which I had a different starting point. Let's be honest. I didn't play ukulele till I was about 11.
Right.
And as I mentioned previously, I grew up at 6 years old having the privilege and opportunity to learn music and to do so with violin and to have weekly lessons and obviously a family that's very immersed in music. Obviously seeing my siblings involved in ukulele. Yeah, it wasn't like I got a fast track involved with it, but where the opportunities of what I saw with my siblings, I had some dexterity in playing the violin. I take that as a blessing because I had a bit of an advantage over my other siblings who all played piano. I was the only violinist. And out of that, it gave me, some natural ability to which, after a year of service, getting to work with Mr. Thomas, Jamie Thomas, who was one of the other teachers in the program, who made it really fun. And my dad talks about engaging. He would get you just loving being there. He was a fun personality, had, tunes.
Wait a minute. Are you saying I'm not fun?
You're fun. You're fun.
I'm a riot.
Yes. But
he was like you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But getting him involved in it, it isn't your parent teaching you. And I know people who have parents who are educators. It sometimes is easier starting out when it's not your own parent.
Right.
But there are ukuleles around our house everywhere. Again, this is a unique situation I feel very blessed to have had where. Yeah, then from that point onwards, I could pick up any instrument. Sometimes my first instrument that I got to play was a kamaka. Like my dad, he had these instruments that were gifted. He was playing them. Like I got to play some beautiful instruments that started me up for success on top of the other natural successes that were there. And then fast forward to being in the group and having the opportunity to teach at 16. It was seniors every Saturday for 3 hours. And very quickly, yes, you're kind of born into it. My mom also was a teacher. And, you start seeing it among the family. And then again, my other siblings were involved in teaching and leading. And where it kind of transitioned was in a very quick time in our education system, there's something called Planning 10. You plan for your future. It was like a careers. And I knew in grade 10, I was either going to go into music, but I didn't know if I'd go performance because I was succeeding with violin. I was feeling very successful with that, or I'd go into teaching. But I knew music was going to be a part of my life because, a few people in Hawaii have said it to our kids, which I love that they're echoing messages we've shared, is if you're doing something you love and you think it's really cool and you're passionate about it, it won't feel like you're ever working. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think similar to yourself where you're like, you've come back to this because it's so cool. You just love doing it.
Yeah.
That love there is what kind of just made this so organic. So studying music in university, and again, I shared it even today during the workshop that the kids had. The ukulele was what I was thinking about in my theory classes to help me with my music theory. It wasn't the violin that my parents paid thousands of dollars for since I was 6. It was ukulele, and that opportunity of being able to dabble with it, being able to experiment, being able to do things that people couldn't tell you you're wrong or you're right. Like it was just something you could just do for yourself and be as creative as you'd like. And when someone gives those parameters, it's like a blank canvas. And where where it evolved for me was, getting to finish university and then going into the teaching program. I saw my parents be very successful, like yourself, right? You're like, this is a successful life. I can continue doing it. And albeit, yes, I looked at the performing and did some of the performing, I got the most joy out of teaching. And I wasn't looking in the bank account to see even if I was getting paid. And to have the fortunates and the blessings of, again, a very, privileged situation.
And it's not life on the road
No.
all the time, like being a touring, being a musician out there, making all your money from music. It's like, seems like a little bit of a rough go at family life and all that,
Yeah, and you know what? You can certainly, for those that love it, they find the love for it. But it wasn't in the cards, I think, for me, in terms of making that a full-time thing. Do I love still doing it when I can? Like I'm here without my 2 little kids, 1 and 3, my wife, and I miss them a lot. And, I couldn't do this without my wife's support. to be here for 8 days. Well, she's in the trenches more than anything with the two. But the end result of it, and the power and difference you can make in kids' lives. And I've seen that in education. I taught music full time at the art school in Abbotsford in that district for almost 10 years. And to do jazz band and take kids to New Orleans, all the same things and experiences my dad set up through Langley, I was bringing in to a full music program: choral, vocal jazz, concert choir, chamber choir, jazz band, and then you have your explorations. Ukulele, of course, I was teaching in grade 6. All of these things became situations where I was able to build upon a platform that was so foundationally sound, and it's reached out to more kids than just Langley, and that's in the world we need more of that. We need kids doing things that are positive, that are enriching. I said it before, that are sharing their gifts, whatever those gifts are, and finding the joy in life. And it's not just about dollars and cents. It's about, how can you be not just a contributor to society, but a positive individual, not just amongst yourself, but amongst others. So education has now become my career. I consider myself very blessed. And many people do say I followed his footsteps. Like you alluded to, I've gone into administration now, which my dad was a principal for 32 years.
Yeah, something like that. I lost count.
But it is your own path.
It is, and I'm not in the same district he's in, albeit I was hired to be in that same district, not because of any, ins or outs. The name certainly was known, But that being said, I wanted to feel like I could do it, on my own, recognizing I still had a very privileged setup, and as much as I can give back, and that's why I do ukulele. I don't need the other thing. I do it because it's so cool. I love it. The kids and the difference they make in impacting others. It's the immediate direct. Whereas in Min, the big challenge I'm seeing as I'm young into it is I might have the biggest opportunity to make the impact on the kids, maybe not seeing it immediately, but now it's about getting the educators on side and helping them get to the path of how can we do the things that, similar to Langley, engage kids, motivate kids, bring them into the world in those ways, socially, emotionally, that they can succeed.
Oh my goodness. I love everything about what you just said so much. That is so beautiful. Yeah. I mean, as a father, you must be so proud to.
I am.
I mean, what a wonderful family you have.
Yeah, I'm proud of all 4 kids, but I'm proud really of the notion that Paul never did it the way I did it. Paul took and watched and observed, learned from, and has done it his own way. The repertoire list that the kids have was almost 200 songs in their repertoire list. There are probably about 60 or 70 that are arrangements that I would have done back in the day. The rest are arrangements that he's developed since.
Oh, speaking of, when you guys were first sitting down, I heard you play like a touch of No Woman, No Cry.
Yes.
Will you play a little bit of that?
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't be.
Yeah.
That's great.
I thought that was like such a nice sounding, you just played a little bit of it, but I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. I'll be honest, it's been a hot minute since I've been put on a mic to play by myself. So you mentioned the anxiety before of kids feeling scared to perform. I perform a lot, but not by myself anymore. I have the comfort of others around, but I'll play a little bit for you.
Just a couple guys in the room.
I know, I love it.
That's a beautiful composition. Love that.
Yeah. Beautiful arrangement, Paul. Well done.
So, original instruments, accordion and violin. I'd imagine like you guys could make some pretty killer Italian music.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do all the Italian weddings, all the Baptist. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that would be fun. Next time.
Yeah, next time. Yeah. Actually, to be fair about it, I was kind of echoing as I listened to Paul's story there. It's very similar to where I was at. I was playing the accordion in a cabaret restaurant at age 13, 14, and the owner of the restaurant, you'd come out after he was making pizzas and sing opera, and he'd look at me and say, play, he'd say, play this a song. I'd say, oh, I don't know that song. He'd say, well, play it anyway. So, you learn to improvise. You learn to play.
Is this Vancouver?
Oh, yeah.
Is there an Italian community there?
Yeah, there is. Are you kidding? Son of a gun, what are you talking about?
Okay. It's like another New York kind of a situation.
Yeah. It's a very cosmopolitan city, but it was great growing up, and it was great. My father used to come down to the basement as I was practicing, and he'd start singing Italian folk songs. So you very quickly started to realize how important music could be in a family. In family life, how it could be a binding quality.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, like, there's nothing like the feeling of playing together. That is such a bond.
Yeah, and I had the blessing of Paul and two of his 3 siblings. 3 of our 4 children were in the ensemble at some point. The 4th child, she was the black sheep, and we forgave her when she got her degree as a medical doctor.
She got all the brains. She got all the brains, evidently.
No, they're all smart kids.
Yeah. I don't know if it has to do with that. But
Yeah.
that is it's a good thing. The world needs doctors too.
We're very
And
proud
hey,
of
you
her.
know what?
Very proud.
She's a very accomplished pianist.
Yes.
Oh wow.
So all 4 kids could play.
She can afford a good piano too.
Well, she's going to inherit ours. Sorry, Paul, I didn't tell you.
I
It's in the will.
I know. It was already there. It's all good. Again, you're talking to the violinist here, right?
Yeah, I don't care. She can have it. Yeah. It's interesting listening to Paul play. Again, it's all based on his learning and his desire to carry it forward is all based on motivation, and that motivation is based on having success with music and having success at playing and performing it and being willing and to experiment and knowing that it's okay to make mistakes and to learn from them is part of the joy.
Yeah, that along with talent, right? Because it's like it takes all of that, and also inherently, like
A beautiful
he's a musician.
instrument.
Yeah, well, yeah, good.
It is resonating beautifully.
Good instrument helps, but no, like you're a great musician, and I mean, like you were saying earlier, that really helps when you're teaching people
Yes, it does.
for them to like hear it from you.
Well, and if I may add to that, it releases one obstacle, because I think my dad said it best, and I think our world needs to understand it. Teaching is an art form to do it at a high level. Anyone can attempt to get in front of a group of 30, hopefully just 30 kids. Band teachers, way more than that. They have to be exceptional at managing a class in addition to being competent musically and, yes, being able to play an instrument, hopefully amongst the band, or at least able to demonstrate, right? It helps for the modeling, but when it releases an obstacle, when you can get up there and you have the confidence to be able to not think about what's in your hands and what you need to do, then the adaptability, then you think about the scaffolding and you think about the ways in which you can make learning universal and release the barriers. I know we in Abbotsford at least have the educational image of equity and how you just put blocks underneath the people who might not be as vertically able to see over the fence, and it's a fence to watch the baseball game, and they just give them stepping stones so everyone can equally see. And there's merit to equity, but then there's also to my point of what my dad was saying about the teaching process in Langley, is it's not doing the fence to watch the baseball game. Let's maybe, instead of just give everyone the ability to just see over the fence, let's maybe make it a chain link fence, or let's make it so it's clear so universally everyone can see the game, and we can still give some stepping stones as needed, but adapt it in ways so that we're looking at learning. So as you're playing this instrument and not having to think about the complicatedness, you can challenge the ones that need it because you can't just serve to the ones that are struggling, because we lose the high flyers. And then you have to think about the majority, the 75% that are with you. But if you show some sign of incompetence, they could become a managerial nightmare, which in the classroom nowadays needs and diversity and neurodiversity is a real thing. Kids who are designated and not designated, it's a thing, and you have to know how to work around that. And that involves relationships and rapport, but also starts with the ability to have the confidence to be in an art form of teaching, which is, hey, I'm going to remove those barriers in how I prepare. I'm going to make sure I come prepared in knowing what it is I'm teaching and how I can demonstrate, but then also adapt so that the kids who maybe don't have the dexterity can still participate and be challenged. And then the ones who need the challenge, you're right with me. I can show you the sky's the limit. And that's one thing my dad showed exceptionally is, and he was first admitted in my years, and I know he said it about James, in that James was an exceptional talent, as you alluded to. Like he had it, you just had to kind of give him the runway, and then he was gonna soar. You had to give him the challenges, and that was where the flight of the bumblebee came up, and opportunities. For myself as an example, my dad as a leader would recognize that, hey, at this point, Paul can play better than me. When I was in the group, he would say that. And he was first to admit that, hey, there are things I might not be able to do as some of you are able to pick maybe faster than myself. But he knew how to channel and put the people in the right places to be successful, manage and lead. And then also, he's a phenomenal musician, and not just a leader and able to motivate, engage, and all that. He has obviously the years since he was a young boy of teachings that, you think about the story you just shared about the accordion and the guy coming up, the owner wanting to sing, they have the ear that he has.
Yeah, because you're listening to a whole group and you're like, what's off here?
Yeah. Andrew, I'm going to speak to that because, in September, this coming September, we're gonna have a festival in Langley. We're gonna have our first annual Fort Langley Ukulele Festival, and I'm gonna run a one-day master teaching class, so that on the Friday, those who choose it can come and have the essence of what we have done in Langley for 45 years, going on 45 years, so that people understand that this is able to be shared. Now, you might not be able to do it at the end of hearing what will be said, but you'll at least understand what it is that we do that's different. And here is, you just said it, and here is the essence of it. The entire time that I am teaching, whether I'm teaching math, phys ed, language, or music, the entire time I'm listening for what I need to help them get better understanding of. So if a group of students is playing, I'm not listening to one kid or to how beautiful the song is. I'm listening to the parts. I'm listening to the tone quality. I'm listening to the blend. I'm listening to the pitch. I'm listening to the arrangement. Think about how many decisions happen not in a minute, in a second. How many things you have to watch and listen for. Paul said it, I said it. If you can't play your instrument, you're not going to be able to focus on what the kids are doing. If you don't know your subject, if you don't know the concepts that lead to mathematical thought, to the ability to think like a mathematician, if you don't have a good solid understanding of that, how can you then watch what your students can or cannot do? It's very difficult. It'll be limiting. So as teachers, what we have to do is unlock our understanding of the content and understanding of how to get ourselves able to do it at a high level, and then do it. And then work with the students so that you're able to lead them to growth. So in the middle of an arrangement, I'm hearing it. Stop the rehearsal, ask somebody to sing something. I know they're out of tune. I ask them to sing it. I'll ask somebody over here to sing it who I know is in tune. And then I'll ask the rest of the group, what's the difference? And somebody's going to say it. Well, this one sounds different than that one. Oh, how so? Because they don't want to put down their friend. So there's got to be an environment set. Well, that one's in tune. Oh, well, what did he do or she do to get it in tune? Okay, you try that. Now everybody try it. Is it in tune now? Yeah, it's in tune now. Okay, so what you're telling me is everybody does what this child did, you'll be in tune. Yeah, okay, well then do it. What's your problem? Now, Paul has figured out that that's how you do it.
Yeah, does that work?
Absolutely.
Okay. No, I'm just thinking like I might still sing flat.
So then, Andrew, good for you.
Yeah.
So then what does it mean? I need to intervene with some teaching. Not do it again. Do it. Hey, wait a minute. Try this. Reshape your jaw so that you're cupping the E sound.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Now, I want you to sing it toward me. What you're asking them to do is engage their diaphragm, but you're not going to say that because they don't know what the heck that means. So sing it towards me. Energy forward. And then you can see, you know what happens? They get it with that bit of direction because I know what to do to get them to sing in tune. The rest of the kids will all of a sudden, and I've seen it, it's palpable. Oh. Now this kid goes, I just did something right because everybody just gave that success. It's like catching a fish. It's like winning in Vegas.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, what I need to do is be able to listen. For me to be able to listen, I can't be worried about what I'm doing. I watched Paul the other day.
It's got to be autopilot.
It has to be. So ukulele teachers out there, you want to be a better ukulele teacher? Get to be a better player. And it's fun. You get to practice. You get to learn. I mean, I drive my wife nuts because I'll practice while I'm watching TV. Thing is, she's watching too. But, God bless her, she's forgiving. It's my way of developing some simple technique and some of the concepts, and I can play with it. And Paul has figured that out. He's sitting in a rehearsal the other day, and he's singing every part for every kid. He's showing them. It goes like this. And they're doing it back. He knows how every part is supposed to go in a 5-part arrangement. And you know what? The kids now can't fool him. So they do it for him. Now, again, please understand, that's at a very high level. The kids in the Langley Ukulele Ensemble play like nobody else, right? As a group, that's like their number one. There isn't anybody else that plays like that. So we're talking about a very fine teacher when you're teaching a group of folks that are at that level. But we're like the manager of a baseball team, the coach of a basketball team. Nobody's going to ask, Dusty Baker to hit the ball like he once could. They understand he's the manager of the team. They're not going to ask him to play the game. They're going to ask him to coach and manage the game. So that doesn't mean he doesn't understand the game or doesn't know how it goes. He's proven that over time. Now he's helping his players to be better. So we are that as teachers.
I like that too because it's a model that can be replicated. It's not like you need Peter Luongo or this system doesn't work.
Correct.
Yeah. And it's just I don't know. I wish it could be replicated all over the world. Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard that before. Like what? Why can't our...
Yeah. You know what? I had a lady from last night at the show last night at the Sheraton say, hey, I'm from New Orleans. How do I learn more about the way you teach this program? Look, there's no doubt that the way we teach the program has got merit to it. I mean, look at the results. Okay, so I'm not bragging. I'm stating a fact. She said back, I know that I'm not going to get a group of kids playing like this. But if I know how you're doing this, I know that I'm going to get a group of kids playing better than they are now. And here's the catch. They won't just be making better music. They'll be better thinkers. They'll be better problem solvers. Because what you've heard here in our discussion today, it isn't just about ukulele, and it's not just about music. It's about developing character in young people. And the ukulele happens to be the tool, and music happens to be the vehicle. So if we use those two attributes, which we have at our control, just think what we can do. And what better way, because you've already said it, then you can make music with your siblings, with your parents. Then you have a chance to enrich your life and those around you.
Yeah, it must be wildly rewarding for you guys. I mean, teaching, like, it's not like the highest paid profession or whatever, but just to see the development in children.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%. Like I said, as I got into teaching, I knew there was a contract I signed at one point that said I was going to be committed to something in which there was a breakdown of what that looked like. But, never did I check to make sure things were being paid automated wise. I just kept showing up and doing it, and again, it's not about the dollars and cents, and knowing that things are looked after. It is a modest lifestyle too, because you are almost like a shepherd. You are a bit of a servant. You are one who is there to give as much as it is you get in terms of the receiving. And I know a lot of teachers will say the joy and what I've learned is, as much as I can not necessarily bestow knowledge upon them, although there are the lecturers, and there are times where we might draw some connections for kids as we debrief and reflect and then get them part of the conversation. It's them teaching us more about ourselves, and the benefits are always far more, I think, on the side of the educator when they see kids be successful and when they see kids show that appreciation.
Well, you're making a difference in all of their lives.
Yeah.
Forever to come, you know, at a point in time where kids go one way or the other, you know, and you're able to be such a positive force at that period. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can lay down knowing that you're making the world a little bit of a better place.
Yeah. Amen to that. So I think the other thing to just recognize, and I think it's unfair not to acknowledge it, is in my group currently, a lot of the kids are involved in other music adventures and endeavors, whether it's them being in their concert choir, if they're in jazz band, they're involved in other music. And as I alluded to at the very beginning of my story a bit, I started with violin, and then I got to ukulele. Then I started learning ukulele, and I realized this is probably just like guitar. Then I was blessed enough I grew up very fortunate, very blessed to get a guitar, and then I could learn to play the guitar. And then from the guitar, it turned into, I'm going to dabble a little bit with bass, start playing bass. Then go through university, start playing different horns, woodwinds, then start teaching, playing more horns and woodwinds to understand functionality and how to teach. And again, the more music you can make, and all throughout that singing, and that's obviously being another instrument. We all have the voice. You know, the kids are involved in other musical endeavors. What makes it very cool to me, and I think is a compliment to our program, is that despite all the other extracurriculars, which is good for them to be involved in, and I know at some point they have to make a choice, because you can't do it all. As much as we'd love to, and you can't duplicate Peter Luongo and have them all over the world. We'd love to have, what you can do is you can, make the choices of where you feel you might get the most benefit, but also at the same time where you feel you're giving the most of yourself in a way that's benefiting the most, not just yourself. And it is that service leadership, it is that service opportunity that makes our world a better place when kids are doing it unconditionally and without expectation or anything in return. And that's the powerful thing, is they are involved in other music, and I would always encourage it. People should be playing other instruments, and when other pop or rock artists are picking up ukulele after the fact and starting to feature in their shows, that popularizes it, yes. But as we've tried to show in Langley, there's a lot more literacy to it. There's a lot more teaching components, whether it's ear training, whether it's trying to develop the ability to sing and play. It's rhythmic. There's percussiveness to it. You look at what James has done to make it even more modern, whether it's putting chopsticks in an instrument to making a beatbox, and then Jake and the platforms that they've taken this instrument to the next new heights from what Oda-san had done, and Eddie Bush, and all these amazing icons in time. These kids are trying to take it seriously in a way that says this is an instrument and we're going to do things really exceptionally with it, and make the choice despite all the other musical opportunities to be in this, because of the life skills, because of the opportunities, and because of the memories, because like you said, the memories they'll have for the rest of their life. And yes, we play a part in it, and I feel very blessed to be a small part of the kids' lives that I've been able to work with, because yes, my hope is out of it that they'll appreciate it, but they'll be better for it. And I've been very fortunate to see that on the end result, and I just hope more of our world gets that. And if they do come out in September to the Fort Langley International Ukulele Festival, it's the same opportunity to just be introduced to what does this look like, and looking at your own community. It might look different in New Orleans, or it might look different in Hawaii, or it might look different in, I don't know, you name anywhere, because but if there's a person of willingness to hone in on this craft, learn it, be confident enough in it, it lends for opportunities in ways that can be so creative, because it is a beautiful instrument with so much opportunity that no one's going to sit there and tell you have to do it this way or that. because the answer is always going to be in the room. And then you have other people, it's a supportive community that are wanting to see this succeed for our youth and for all those who want to be passionate with music.
Yeah, it's a blessing to the world, to the music community, to the ukulele community especially, what you guys and your team has been doing for decades. It's amazing. And yeah, I just want to say mahalo from my heart to you guys. It's so awesome. We're going to have on Simon next week. You know, I met him over at NAMM. I think he was still 15, maybe he just
he was 15.
16.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, what a talent. You guys are breeding them out there.
Yeah, and there's an example. So I said to Simon's parents, look, I think Simon would benefit from coming in, because I was working with an adult group. I have an adult group that performed at NAMM, and I was presenting with James. James and I'd been invited to go, and I wanted James to join me to present on behalf of NAMM Foundation about the ukulele. And Simon came, and you know, it's not the first time, but it's saying, I have confidence in you to become a leader. I have confidence in you to develop as a person so that you can be a leader in this teaching of this ukulele, but more than that, in sharing who you are with the rest of the world, which will make the world a better place. So yeah, the ukulele's in your hand, but we're really presenting you. And all of this equates back. It's one of my very favorite expressions. The history of the word educate comes from a Latin root. The Latin root is educare. Educare, by definition, means to pull out. And you think about that in the context of education. It's not what I put into a child's head. It's what we are able to pull out of the child as an understanding of themselves and of their capacity. That is the mandate of an educator. If I can pull out of a young person that they are inherently good, that they have the ability to share their goodness with others, and that they have skills and talents across the spectrum that can be utilized to make the world a better place, then as a teacher I've succeeded. And if they happen to be an ukulele player, all the better.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Talk about the festival you're doing.
Yeah. So Fort Langley was the first capital city of the province of British Columbia. And to be clear, when the British came and colonized the country we call Canada, they established a trading fort in Fort Langley. They would take the beaver pelts and they would send them back to Europe. So they needed people to work. The first Hawaiian migrants went up the west coast. Now, they obviously made their way over by ship to the mainland, to the North American mainland, but then migrated up the coast seeking labor and landed in Fort Langley to work, to marry, to live 200 years ago.
And to enjoy some salmon.
We got lots of salmon. So what ended up happening was that we actually had a settlement that included Hawaiian indigenous peoples marrying the indigenous peoples of the area. Now, over time, the fort no longer became the vibrant place center for selling goods and capturing product and sending it back to Europe. That was done out of Fort Victoria, which was a little ways away. So the need to come up and stay in Langley didn't persist. So we didn't have a lot of Hawaiians coming after the fur trade dissipated as a viable industry, if I can call it that. And at that time, the fort continued, but it became more like a local community grocery store instead of Costco. All right. So we started coming to Hawaii as an ukulele association 45 years ago. And we formed the partnership with the Sheraton 28 years ago. And in that time, I got to know performers from the islands. So, this morning we had what we called the Waikiki Summit. It involved coffee, espresso. So Jake came, and Craig and Sarah came, and Brian Tolentino and Hale came, and Mike Upton came, joined us, and we all sat and we just talked ukulele, and we caught up with each other's lives. Well, that friendship is now going to be taken advantage of in September. We're now bringing Craig and Sarah, Brian Tolentino and Hale. We're going to bring from Maui, Andrew and Jay Molina, and Neil Chin, who's a former Islander. And they're going to all participate as teachers, along with Paul, myself, other teachers that we have from the Langley community. And we'll run 32 workshops over Friday and Saturday. We'll have a special
VIP Friday evening.
Yeah, we're gonna have a luau on Thursday night. We're gonna have pork, and we're gonna have huli chicken and salmon, and then on Friday and Saturday nights, 2 shows. The first show on Friday night will feature all Hawaiian performers. In the case of Brian and Hale, they will do all Hawaiian music, and we have a halau that was started by a Hawaiian who moved into the area decades ago and has kept the Hawaiian culture alive through hula. They're going to dance. So that Friday night show will be Hawaiian and Hawaiian themed with Jay and Andrew Molina. Saturday night, Langley will be on stage, the world famous Langley Ukulele Ensemble under the direction of Paul Luongo. And we'll also have some of our West Coast performers. We're now calling Neil Chin West Coast because he's now living in Seattle.
Yeah.
So they'll be featured. Throughout the day, we'll have presentations. Craig and Sarah will perform. We've got some other local performers that will get up. Some of our younger ensembles will perform. And as I said earlier, part of Friday is instruction. And so Craig and Sarah, who've developed a new curriculum here in Hawaii, will talk about their new curriculum and present it to those coming. And we will also have our curriculum presented in 3 chunks through that day, through the Friday, 4 teachers, including a demonstration group. We'll bring in a group of young kids, and we'll teach them with the delegates watching, and then debrief that and talk about what it is that we are doing in our system of teaching, in our format for teaching, that leads to the success that our kids are having. And have those teachers, we hope, go back to their schools on Monday with some motivation and some inkling of some things they can put into practice right away on Monday morning when they see their students.
Wow, that's cool.
And did I mention we have raffles?
For anybody interested in ukulele instruction, that seems like something very worthy of the trip.
Yeah.
What's the date?
The 25th is the luau, 26th, 27th.
September?
Yes. 26th, 27th, Friday, Saturday.
It's not too cold at that point, huh?
It's the end of summer.
Nippy.
It's the end of... No, it'll be... In fact, we're running the festival in the fort. So in the actual fort where 200 years ago, the Hawaiians were living and working and trading.
Yeah.
We're going to have the festival in that fort. And some of it will be outdoors, some of it will be in the structures.
Love it.
Yeah. And I have to mention, we do have an Oli ukulele that we're going to be raffling off. We have some other brands as well. We have some Kamaka, we have some Koaloa, and so all the funds raised, and I need to say this, I'm not getting the funds raised. Paul's not getting the money. All of the funds raised go to the kids that are in our program to allow them to perform out of the city. So the kids that are coming to Hawaii, that will offset their cost moving forward. The kids that I direct, the younger students, they'll take those funds and they'll go to someplace outside of the city and do a performance tour. Yeah.
Wow. That's phenomenal. Awesome. Yeah. I wish I could come.
What's stopping you?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that sounds amazing. So you guys, I know you have a gig tonight, huh?
Yeah, we do.
So we're already getting about to the time where you guys got to leave. You want to send us off with another tune?
I do. So this song is kind of special for me because it sings about your life, Andrew, and my life. It sings about the idea that as fathers, we pass on to our children the ability to do what we did. And our fathers passed on to us the things that we needed. Now, in the case of this piece, it's from Eastern Canada, Nova Scotia, where the ukulele and the Canadian ukulele program was first introduced. The song's called The Fisherman's Son, and as you listen to it, you'll appreciate why it's special to me, with my son here in the room, but in your case, with the work that your father did, that you and your brother are now doing, and maybe, who knows, your children will do, maybe his children will do. This is The Fisherman's Son. I'm a fisherman's son, got fisherman's ways. I fished with my father in my young days. I learned the fine craft of the fisherman's trade, just to pass to my son, so he'll do the same. The sea is my lifeline, the shore is my home. I've been to your cities, I didn't stay long. I stared at the bright lights, the dark city ways. I tell you that's not for me, no, I couldn't stay. Singing lie, 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 singing lie, 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 lie. Singing lie, 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 singing lie, 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 lie. Some days are rough, so we roll with the waves. This living is tough and slack is the pay, but we rise with the sunrise, we wake with the dawn, singing this fisherman's song, singing lie, 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 singing lie. Time singing lie, 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 lie.
Peter and Paul, thank you guys so much. That was incredible. And tell us how to keep in touch with you guys.
Absolutely. So you can go to langleyukes.com. That's the website. At Langley Ukes, that's the Instagram handle.
The Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah. You can reach out to me at president@langleyukes.com. And Langley Ukes is Langley. Ukes is UKES.com. President@langleyukes.com. Paul is director_.
Paul.
Paul.
Director_Paul at Langley Ukes or Ukes.com.
Beautiful.
Director_Paul at langleyukes.com. Got it now.
Yeah. We got YouTube channel as well that you can also follow. And I know that in the coming months, I'm sure there'll be much more to share, but we also have Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify Music from the ensemble on there as well.
Send me any links I can put in the notes below.
Beautiful.
As well. Yeah.
And I also do I do a once a month online lesson. I don't do private teaching. I don't have time, but I do a course called Ultimate Ukulele. And again, folks can email me, and I'm happy to give them details about it. But it's essentially taking everything that I did with the Langley kids all those years, still do, and I present it in a condensed form for adults. It's the whole notion of this is the ultimate use of the instrument. All the components, everything that you could do in a music program, ultimateukulele.com. Well, actually, Ultimate Ukulele, you can check it through Peter Luongo. And then the other thing is the Legacy Ukulele Ensemble that I direct. This is a group of 15 adults from across the United States and Canada, and I'll meet them in Las Vegas next week, and then they're going to be joining us as well as the Langley Ukulele Ensemble next year at the Ukulele Festival of Great Britain. So we're doing some collaboration because, ukulele is for life. You started as a young child, you can play it right into your 70s, 80s, 90s, and keep having fun with it.
Yes, that's true. All right. Thank you guys so much. This was awesome. Thank you. We love you. Share your comments, like all that kind of stuff, and we'll see you soon. Aloha.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank
Aloha.
you.
Aloha.